the TopGun Sales and Marketing Show, we search the world with our criteria for top guests. They have to be achievers. They have to have an inspiring message for you. They have to have done it and not just talked about it. Today's guest far exceeds that criteria. But listen, this is someone who paneled on the famous Johnny Carson Tonight Show at just 29, ran a zoo, and has given away £1 billion. Or $1 billion. Yeah. Ready to be inspired? Then please meet speaker and author Terry Rich. Welcome, Terry.
Thank you very much, Malcolm. It is a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I'm just so fascinated. Terry, this has got to be the most intriguing opening piece I've done for any guest. Tell us who you are and what you do.
Well, I'm a young farm boy from a small state in the United States called Iowa. And I started out in the cable television business before cable was cool, and we cashed out when I was 40. And I kind of met all of my goals at that point. But then I decided to start my own company. So for about 12 years, I ran a marketing satellite uplink company and did work for HBO and ESPN and many others. And I think at 50, I hit midlife crisis, which meant I wanted to try something different. And I got a call to say, hey, they're going to close the zoo. It's losing $600,000. Would you go ahead and run a zoo for us? And I thought, I came from a farm. Maybe I could do that. And once we got that turned around as a finale, I became the state lottery director and a member of the national Powerball game in the United States. I decided then to retire, but yet you can never retire. So now I'm on the road. I'm professionally speaking on the $80 billion gamble, which was how a lottery ticket, Bigfoot, and hot dogs help solve the largest U.S. fraud in the lottery business.
Wow, what a story. Incredible.
It's been fun.
Yeah. You must be invited to many parties. Of all our 8 BVTV network channels, I wanted you to be on our TopGun Sales and Marketing Show because you've used all marketing aspects such as PR, speaking, TV production to deliver success for the organizations in which you've been involved with. So what marketing instance are you especially proud about, and how did you go about it?
I think I tell many people that failure is the first step to success. And when I came out of college, I was on cable television, I was on the air, and I noticed that when I was at 5 o'clock, I didn't have the 5 o'clock shadow. So I wrote a company, Gillette, and told them how much I loved their Track 2 razor. I knew in 2 weeks I would be a star. They would want me to come to New York and do a television commercial. Lo and behold, 2 weeks later, I got that letter, and it said, "Dear Mr. Rich, expressing your complete satisfaction with the Track 2. You wrote the wrong company. Schick makes it. Here's the address." And so I failed. But in that instance, I learned something very valuable. I learned that failure is the first step to success because I got so inspired about wanting to be on national television and doing something different that I went ahead and tried a lot of different things. And one of the things that I did that actually failed, our small little town wanted to have a centennial. And they didn't know whether they were 100 years old. It was 50 people. It was a small town, but they decided to have one anyway. So they asked me to do the marketing and publicity. And they said, "You're our most famous person." I said, "If I'm our most famous person, let's adopt somebody." So we sat down and wrote a letter and sent it to 44 different celebrities saying, "Will you be our celebrity of the day?" You know what? 43 of the 44 letters failed. But that one letter that didn't fail went to Associated Press. They sent it out nationally, and that's how we got on the Johnny Carson Tonight Show. And you know what? They almost did the entire show. They said they could do it via satellite. There'd never been a satellite uplink in the state of Iowa. They could do it via satellite uplink from Iowa. And that stuck in my head. And that was the marketing. I learned that if you fail and you use something that you learned in that failure to turn it around, it could be the biggest success. And how that became the biggest success is that satellite uplink allowed me to come back to my cable company and do a free preview of HBO where you get free home box office. And by getting that, we would come on in between the movies and say, "Hey, you enjoy that movie? Call 1-800-CABLE-TV and you can get HBO in your home." And we did $15 million in the first week. So
Wow.
The marketing success came out of a failure. And I think that's really important because I think too often if you have, and everybody's got $1 million idea, Malcolm. If you have $1 million idea and you just try it once and it doesn't work, you say, "Well, that didn't work, I'm gone." learn by that failure and build upon success. That's the greatest reward in life.
I'm totally with you there, Terry. And unfortunately, there are too many people who don't try the failure because they're frightened of the risk. Look, you're a brilliant, and experienced public speaker. I've long gone on about how important it is for anyone in sales and marketing to improve their public speaking. But some, as the saying goes, would rather be in the casket than give the eulogy. Did public speaking come easy to you? And what are your top tips for being good at it?
I think growing up on the farm, we knew everybody and we always loved to tell stories. But I have I guess I have 3 points. Number one, you can never go wrong. You can always have great sales if you just speak from the heart. I sell things, whether it's on TV or talking face to face, because I believe in the product. That's so important. If you don't believe in it, you can't sell it. Second, I always have 1 or 2 key copy points whenever I do a speech. Nothing kills me more than going to some big lecture with 1,000 different numbers and statistics and all these things. And when I walk away, I'm so overwhelmed. But when a speaker starts with, here are 3 key points, and they bring those points in throughout the speech and then wrap up with the 3 or 4 key points, you'll always remember. That's where you learn, and that's where people say, wow, that was cool. Of course, speaking from the heart and have the stories to emphasize what those points are very important. And then the final point is, as you keep repeating those, is to have fun. When I step on a stage, it is so rewarding to look out and see the smiles and see the excitement. And when it's done, that's the greatest high I can ever have.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. People come from all over, sometimes the world, to see you. And, you should be appreciative of that. Totally. Look, we talked together about change in your guest appearance on our Achieve a Leader show. But change is happening today in communication, sales and marketing. As an experienced CEO, what do you want your sales and marketers to be skillful about today?
Sales and marketing always tell me, and it's an easiest place sometimes when people are looking for budget cuts, say, oh, let's cut our marketing budget or whatever. But when I was in marketing, I said, well, listen, 50% of all marketing ideas are bad. We just don't know which 50%, right? You've probably heard that.
Yeah.
Creativity is so important too, but creativity gives you nothing. We all have that one idea that'll make the company and make you a star within your company. But creativity must evolve into innovation. You dare to dream, you come up with the ideas, but as a marketer and a salesperson, if you don't act, you won't make the sale. We always had in the cable business early days, it was tough selling cable door to door. It said 100, you made 100 calls, you made 2 sales. It's just having the motivation to make all 100. And what happens if you make the sales in the first 2 calls you make? You still make the 100. It's so important to act, not just to dream or to say, I can do this, but to go out and act on what you're trying to do. I think the other thing that I like to say as a CEO to all employees, especially the sales and marketing folks, is something we call COT. When I was in the state government, and I would come in and I say, okay, let's do this, let's do that. And should we have the wall yellow? Should we put animals on the ticket? We do all these things. And the staff, senior staff, melted down. And they said, we can't handle this. And I said, what do you mean? We can't handle it. And I realized they were action because you're the boss. They thought they had to do it. And all I was trying to do is get ideas. So we came up with something for all emails and face-to-face conversations that let them know, as the boss, whether I really wanted them to do it or I'm just giving you an idea. We called it COT, consider or throw away. Right. And the idea was when I sent something out, about 1% of it, I put action required. That means I'm the boss. You got to do it. Or it could mean your job. The other that we all use a lot, maybe 20 or 30% of what I use, is FYI, for your information. But the one that I used a lot was COT, consider or throw away, because that meant if you see this, you don't even have to read the email. You don't have to consider it. I don't want a reaction. I just need to get it off my chest. I want to get ideas. I want to foster innovative thinking within the organization. Now, that helped them, and the stress level came clear down. But what was amazing about it was they took that to their employees, and all of a sudden, the front person at the desk who sees every customer and hears every customer, but is afraid to say something about, hey, I heard a great idea today about that. They now could send back to us with a COT and didn't have to worry about whether the boss thought it was a bad idea or not. So all of a sudden, this two-way communications comes in. So you want to be a disruptive innovator. You want to try using the consider or throw away, but tell them the rules, no judgment when you see that. We don't want you to say, yeah, that's a good idea. Oh man, that's a dumb idea. We just want you to take it and have it, put it aside, and maybe down the road as you're trying to come up with ways to improve your sales or improve your marketing, one of those ideas might be there. You see, the sales and marketing department are the eyes and ears for a company, and it's so important that the boss hears as many of those ideas unfiltered as possible. Then you put them together, and the whole group, the accounting department can say, that's going to cost too much, or the legal department can say, oh my God, we're going to get sued. But you have all the ideas together and you prioritize. Now you've got the entire team reacting and leading right there with the sales and marketing group.
Brilliant. I like COT, but I'm going to have to make certain my wife doesn't get that, because, the 35 years of marriage could be gone,
Exactly.
I want to take you back to your time at leading that zoo, taking it from a 600K deficit to profitability. Travel, leisure, hospitality, marketing are all my areas of experience. So
Sure.
I wanted to know how you did it. There had to be some dynamic sales and marketing involved to achieve such an impressive change. What was it?
Well, first off, you've got to get the staff together and say, we need to do something different. We knew at a zoo that, well, like any museum, you go once when you're a kid, once when you take your kid, once when you take your grandkid, and that's it. So we needed to find things that were fresh and innovative so people would want to come back multiple times in any given year. The second is you look at an audience that you have. And we had the 2 to 12-year-olds. I mean, I don't care. Anybody who's got a kid is going to take them to the zoo sometime during that time. So we needed to go after different markets. And so we got the group together and said, how do we get at that point it was millennials. How do we get millennials into the zoo? What are millennials like? I looked at a millennial. What's your favorite thing? What do you think? Booze. That's right. Drinking. All right. They don't want the little kids running around. They want a date. They want something that's different than a smoky bar. Let's start Zoo Brew. So we opened the zoo at night and allowed people to have booze. We had a band and they could come, they could have dates. And we had this, you know what, last year we did the zoo did $250,000 just in alcohol at Zoo Brew for profitability. And then we look for little things. I mean, you can't think a zoo exhibits $2, $3, $4 million, and you didn't have that money when you're losing. You're just trying to survive. So we looked for little things that we already had that we could utilize that would be different. So we decided to do an exhibit that was pretty inexpensive called Scoop on Poop. You ever had a kid that didn't smile when you said poop? So we did this exhibit and it showed all animal excrement and could see if you could identify where it came from. And then to make money on top of that, besides the people coming through the door, we decided to sell tiger poop, because deer, white-tailed deer in Iowa, high population, but they'd eat all of your garden. So if you spread this tiger poop out, for some reason, even though they've never seen each other in their life, the deer knew that the tiger was a predator and they were prey and they would stay away from it. We made $20,000 selling gallons of tiger poop at the zoo. Little things like that are important, but it goes back a little bit to basic marketing. They weren't price pointing. It was $4 or $4.50 a ticket or whatever it is. You got to go to $4.99. You do those sort of things. You bring in traveling exhibits. And finally, we did rate optimization. I raised the price of admission. Many XM, satellite, a lot of different companies are utilizing this. You raise the ticket because people coming in from out of town were used to paying $20 a ticket, but we gave away a lot of free tickets to the underprivileged so that they could get in free, and we made much more money because it was worth more. You get what you pay for, as you hear, and people who were used to paying the money could. So all of a sudden, we then pulled it up and we got a $12 million endowment, and now the zoo will operate forever.
Absolutely brilliant. Terry, I can't stop thinking about those people at nighttime almost pretending they're doing Disney stuff, well, hullabaloo.
Well, if you think about it, Disney actually does the same thing. in marketing, you take an idea and you
Yeah.
try to improve upon
Yeah.
it. And I think that's the
It's
way
called
business goes
research.
in general.
Research.
You're always trying to improve. I'm always looking for ways, how do you make it better?
Yeah.
But Disney actually has Magic Kingdom during the day, but at night they have Pleasure Island. So they're selling alcohol now, and they sell it out to companies in the evening, and it works really well. But during the day, obviously, it's a great place for the family.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of my clients who have got zoos and monkey forest and so on are going to be fascinated listening to you on that one. Okay,
I
you've
figured
all.
I figured that if I could raise cows, I could help with the
Yes,
help with the zoo.
I
So
know.
it was
Yeah,
fun. It was a
yeah,
great experience, and everybody was happy at the place. It was
yeah.
fun.
But I just got to imagine that you would then go on to purple cows because look,
That's right.
yeah, you've authored 2 books, The $80 billion Gamble, and I love this, Dare to Dream, Dare to Act. You aim to be disruptive, innovative, entrepreneurial, yet you're passionate about integrity and honesty. Before I ask you the question, I must say I'm totally with you. But to many, the two seem inconsistent. Or is this the true way forward? Sell and market with a conscience.
I'm a true believer that if you're not genuine and honest, you will sell less.
Yeah.
And this $80 billion gamble, an internal employee rigs a lottery, and we find out about it. A lot of my associates kept saying, just shut up, just pay it, because if you say anything, you're gambling with our $80 billion industry. So just shut up. This is a small deal. Don't worry about it. But every time we pushed, we got in the media and said, something's wrong here. We're going to find out what's going on. We want the games fair and honest. We sold more. That $80 billion gamble that we could have lost, in fact, improved by almost 20% because people thought, well, they must be watching, so it must be a lot safer than trying to play online with the folks in Malta or wherever else people gamble online, not know who's actually doing the game. So I'm testament that being fair and honest, genuine and honest, pays.
I am totally with you. And that's why at the moment we've got the Conscious Business Show as well, all about consciousness and integrity in that. Look, do you think that many sales and marketing people don't dare to dream big enough? They don't go for the, I think what you call it in America, the big, hairy, audacious goal, but they're content to simply meet their quota for fear of disrupting the system. Do we need to truly unleash our sales and marketing creativity and go for stretch goals? If so, how to do it?
Well, I'm also a believer, and because I was on the other side, leadership should reward predictive risk and failure. That means that, when you look at things, I'm a believer that you take part of your profit and go into new development, that you got to continue to develop, you got to continue to create new ideas. I would have never done the Carson satellite and took that to my own business if I hadn't coming up with ideas, if I didn't have money to the side. So when I say predictive risk, means that you don't just risk your entire bankroll. You take a portion of it and look for what's new to keep incrementally growing, and you'll hit that great big one. Another example I have, Soccer Slam. Everybody loves football, and we call it soccer in the U.S., football in Europe. And I saw that the World Wrestling Federation had, WWF, fake wrestling. I don't know if we can say that on there. Fake wrestling, but
yeah.
I said, is there another sport we could do it? So I did it for soccer. So I did 4 shows indoor, full contact, 2 balls. I mean, the action was phenomenal. Hired a whole bunch of soccer players and just had the time of our life. The coach of one team was messing around with the player's wife, all this sort of stuff. And you know what? I got it on Fox Sports World, and I got it on Galavision, did it in Spanish. And it was hated by the soccer enthusiasts. Most hate mail they'd ever received, but the college kids loved it. Well, that was kind of fun, but I got busy doing other things. And then one day I went into Best Buy and saw that there was a video game that had Soccer Slam on it. It looked just like ours. So I'd failed the first one, and it didn't work. But because I put a little money in it, all of a sudden, Sony now has the game rights, and I have the TV rights for Soccer Slam, and it continues. So my point in all of that is, I think that when you're an entrepreneur, when you're a startup company, you take a lot more risk because you don't have anything to lose. You usually don't have the money to. But once you get a little little more secure and things are going well, it's tougher to take the risk, but you still need to designate some of that. And if you're in a large company and you're in the sales department in a large company, taking that risk, it's almost like you're just trying to survive, not take those risks. But it's a lot more fun when you can take a predictive risk and see the rewards.
I totally with you, and I've been doing it for too many years. Terry, I like to finish every interview by giving my guest 3 wishes. If I was to give you 3 wishes on how businesses today should go about achieving sales growth with integrity and honesty, what would those 3 wishes be?
I think that every person could give an honest 10 new ideas a day that is not judged. Just put them on the wall, put them in the file so that everybody's creating new ideas every single day would be number 1. Number 2 is to learn by your failure. When you have a bad day, when things aren't going right, you mark it down and say, okay, how do I improve this, rather than I'm a failure and I'm not going to try that again. And the final one probably is know that happiness happens on the way to success. My dad told me, hey, when you work for somebody hard and at some point you're going to retire, then you're going to be happy. If you're not happy today, you're not going to be happy tomorrow. So know what makes you happy and work on that every single day so that you'll be happy in most aspects the rest of your life, rather than just saying, well, I get this project done by Friday, then everything's going to be great.
Terry, before we finish, I must tell everybody, you've hopefully taken note of Terry's URL that's on the screen behind me, because he has been such an exciting person you must have been brilliant to work with, fun to work with. Terry Rich, thank you for a brilliant interview.
I appreciate that. And I love speaking and talking across international lines. And Malcolm, you got a great show. Thank you for inviting me.